ツール、ああ、そんなタイプ。I need テクスチャーライクトラディショナル。ああ、ああ、Yes, almost other in process. Most people use bucket ツール。 One another フォロースナックだったか。これであれもう一個あったね。エスプレッソのやつ。違うな。This あ、違った。なんだろうね。エスプレッソ。探求。I need to draw roll item and foods. Some foods. はは。
These pedal to the metal plays and don't bother tapping the gas, don't bother tapping the brakes or anything like that. But sometimes you need the brakes.
Pizza bottom left.
On the car, and for MLXG, he's now finding himself cruising around in the slow lane behind Mugen.
All right, well, now he's in the brush and he gets the first axe.
Mugen trying to get away from this when the jump comes in. Black Shield also onto that 80 carry. Uzi walking himself back. The flash now down from Mugen. As you can see, MLXG getting himself out, using the Predator to do so.
Yeah, that's going to be a decent cooldown early on in the game, but he's very happy about burning the flash off of Mugen by waiting in that brush. Meanwhile, mid lane, Maple feeling very good about the double buffs. Going to get a little health pushing, it looks like, from Mugen on the way out.
Maple picks up a redemption for himself there as well, so we can always use that to keep himself topped off as they push up here.
And of course, they have the Raptor timing because it was a very easy counter jungle there from Mugen because they saw Olaf very clearly on the bottom side, and Maple is going to help him continue on with the split.
Oh, this is early. He's only level 4 on the Olaf, but Xiaohu is on his way down. This is from him potentially, but the blast cone is obviously gone because MLXG took that one. Xiaohu ends up going back towards the mid lane. MLXG has to run back.
They've definitely been kind of flying by the seat of their pants here for RNG in this early game. He doesn't go for the second Raptors, and that is going to be, again, more and more of a lead for Mugen on the Trundle. This is what you want in the Trundle-Olaf matchup from the Trundle side. He's going to be able to get up close to his level 6 and get his ultimate, and he already has a challenging smite to fight with.
And while we had all the pressure from MLXG towards bottom side, Uzi still went back to base and only got a pickaxe for himself, so didn't get the full cash in with the BF sword. And he's of course doing fine in the laning phase. He will grab a bunch of minions here, and of course, Uzi can play laning phase very well, but when you are getting ganked level 2 and then right after there's a chance of another gank happening, it's very hard from Betty and Sword Art's side to actually control the lane. It gets a little bit crazy. Uzi will get enough farm for himself. Maple jumps forward.
And look at the stat comparison between these guys right now on the screen. You can see so far in groups, they're among the best in terms of 80 carry performance. First and second in CSD at 15. First and second in terms of forward percentage, how aggressively they play the lane. And gold difference at 15. First and third, the only time where it's not one of these two being the top two.
And the worst part, if you're sitting number 1 and number 2 in CSD at 15, it's gonna get ruined for one of you, sadly. Or maybe both, if there's actually no change at all, and your numbers will drop down a little bit. But you're on the bot lane, it's Uzi and Ming trying to once again push in.
I'm so curious what's going to happen on the second red spawn here, because Mugen has the timer, because they split the map. MLG's trying to grab it before he gets there, but again, he's down a level.
So dangerous to be in this spot if you're MLXG, especially with the Zoe coming up. The Sleepy Trouble Bubble could spell your demise without the Ragnarok to get you away from the CC. Redemption being called down there as the red buff is chomped away, and Flash Wolves do a good job securing the second.
Very good setup here. Hanabi pushed in top. He moved down first. In case a fight would happen, he's there with the feast. Secure the red buff. RNG are looking towards something on bottom side, but it's just going to be MLXG starting the blue. Flash rolls. Feel in control still.
And honestly, they are. They're 1,500 gold up. They've got the only kill so far in the game. No objectives, turret or neutral objectives taken yet. First Drake is Ocean, so we likely won't see a ton of priority on that here too early, as Flash Rolls will clear out some wards there in that bottom part of the map. Also grabbing the Scuttle Crab for themselves, keeping Sword Art and Betty that much safer as they continue to push up here.
Yeah, we continue to look at the pushing lanes and where we're going to see Trundle get more and more offensive. They're able to get the Scuttle Crab for themselves, a lot of vision in the river. Mugen has plenty of camps to retreat to, whereas MLXG here on the Olaf, still not level 6. Not a lot of options, but he might head to the top side. That'd be one of the few. He would definitely want to grab his Raptor camp, but a Maokai does have crowd control to try and set him up, and if he gets level 6 off the Raptor camp, then there's a possibility of trying to track the Cho down instead.
Hopefully should get it here. He doesn't have that much more EXP to go, and there we go. Level 6 for MLXG. Ragnarok now online means he'll be that much scarier, but like you said, how can he use it? Where's the opportunity?
Like I said, Maokai would probably be the best setup, but even then, Hanabi does have some, exit paths. You can put the Rupture on yourself, try and get some knockups, and then
or just buy enough time, maybe a potential counter gank come in, and then suddenly you turn it around and MLXG fall further behind. Flash was though they're very happy playing bottom side. This is how they've been winning almost all their games back in the LMS. Betty has been performing very well during this tournament, and of course back in the LMS as well, where he's considered the best AD carry now.
Both junglers hanging around this bottom side of the map. RNG did spot Mugen out on a ward, so MLXG wanted to make sure he was in position for that. Sleepy Trouble Bubble finds its way onto that Karma. Pillar comes down, Ignite goes through, Xiaohu with the fast flash, getting himself away in time, but still loses quite a lot of health.
Yeah, and mid priority, because you chunked him out, means everything. That means that Flash Wolves get to take control of Dragon. They move first down here, and looks to use a Blast Cone though, and he's looking to take advantage.
Xiaohu's TP is ready in case MLXG is forcing some sort of fight down here. He can instant join on the Karma for now.
He doesn't have vision on the health of the Dragon.
We will check. We will find Mugen in there.
Mugen rather low on mana right now, throws down the pillar, wanting to get himself away.
He's still taking the Dragon!
The smooth criminal getting himself back into the pit, but he's dunked before he can do anything about the Drake. MLXG waiting for the smite, doesn't have it, so Maple takes the Drake.
Yeah, he used his smite there on the chase of the Trundle, so Mugen thought to go back into the pit, but we're still fighting though. Uzi taking damage.
Uzi getting himself over the wall with the rocket jump, doesn't have much to worry about right now. But that was oh so close on that Drake.
Oh, MLXG maybe chasing. Nope, nothing else here. Mugen definitely did not want to flash back into the Dragon pit. He wanted to go to the other side of that little wall.
I thought he was going to have his smite ready and he was going to have the 300 IQ get back in there and use his smite on the Dragon. But look at the cooldown here. I don't know if that.
Where did he go?
I don't know if that's reliable. But look at the cooldown. If that is reliable, sometimes the visuals aren't quite right on the replay. But if that was reliable, it was very close to being the play. So
now we talked about how the 80 carries were sitting at the tops of the charts, the stats so far in MSI. Well, forget the tops with an S, just the pure top of everything right now. Maple so far in this group stage, 37. KDA, 636 damage per minute, a third of his team's total damage. The man is a monster.
Yeah, and this makes me so happy because it actually reminds me of MSI 2 years ago. When we played in Shanghai, we had Maple, and he was sitting as #1 in terms of all the numbers from mid laners. He was just going completely crazy in every single game he played. But last year, it was just not the same story for him. He was not able to execute mechanically in a lot of these fights. He fell behind in his laning phase, and he was just not the same player. But this year, he's kind of found his form again, and he's become one of the big names on Flash Rolls that you always have to look at when it comes to who can carry the game.
Yeah, he's doing everything. Here we go, though. Xiaohu does roam up to the top side.
Gonna be in some trouble here. Already spent the flash, and it's 1 versus 3. That Cho'Gath is not long for this world as RNG collapse and taken down. Counter gank not going to be there in time as Mugen has to walk away from the evil Christmas tree roots.
Got the gank in the top lane, Kobe.
Yeah.
Wasn't just MLXG.
Exactly. Xiaohu's taken matters into his own hands, roams up there with the Karma, and they do find themselves a kill. But again, Flash Wolves feel pretty good about the way this early game's going.
Oh, Mink, he might get jumped.
Losing quite a lot of HP there just from that initial blast from Betty. True shot barrage flashed away from.
Like it forced the flash. Ming, of course, knew he could always dodge it, but still getting a big summoner. Still though with RNG, they did wait until a Drake had been taken already before they went topside. They didn't want to give away any free objectives. Down the bottom lane, though, while Uzi is staying even in CS, he's been under pressure in some of these small fights near the river. But as long as he's farming, as long as he gets ahead, later on in the game, it's enough. A lot of damage.
Half HP through a shield. Zoe, by the way.
Maple looking so good in this game. He was able to check for the kind of return route of MLG early on, getting that double buff and that giving him so much mid priority. Then he's also able to finish off the dragon and grab the Ocean Drake for Flash Wolves after Mujin went down. Also roaming around now to the bottom side. A little bit late though, as RNG have already secured their blue.
RNG with that blue on their mid laner means they're in a spot to defend against this aggression coming out from the Flash Wolves here yet again. Betty will get himself back over the wall. They decide without the blue buff to fight for, there's not much of a reason to hang around.
But we keep seeing just like the Flash Wolves bot lane push into the turret, and whenever they're near the turret, Mabel and Mujin, they're ready to move down to the bottom side just in case RNG TPs in and a fight happens, because then they know they can defend this Ezreal, who's super important for the mid game. It's always the big thing, Ezreal versus crit 80 carries, is the mid game when you have two items, tier fully stacked and a Trinity Force, you're just so much stronger and you can force plays. So they want this bot lane turret, they want Betty to get ahead in this game, and then just use the next 5 to 6 minutes on trying to snowball the game before Uzi can just sit and pick up more farm.
A little difference at 15 so far in the group stage. You can see there on your screen, plus 3,000 for the Flash Wolves. As this game, they're only sitting at about 700 up over RNG. Still a lead, but nothing to write home about. More defense coming in from the RNG side. Xiaohu setting up shop down here now. Seems like he's spending a lot of time helping this bottom lane defend because they realize Flash Wolves are investing plenty of resources of their own down here.
And Flash Wolves has a very good 4-man siege. Trundle Pillar makes it very difficult to dodge Ezreal Qs coming out and spells from Zoe as well. So with an Ocean Drake, Flash Wolves can easily siege up and return to these sieges and constantly keep pressure on RNG, kind of forcing RNG to squirm a little bit and feel the pressure of creating the play.
People effortlessly clearing out these waves as well, as Uzi will now be put here in the mid lane. But wow, what a lot of damage. That was with no bubble.
Get out of the mid lane, Uzi. Meanwhile, we might get a fight, or Flash will just at least force them away. This bot lane turret is so low at this point here. They just want to secure it, then send the Ezreal back and spend all the gold. It's a great position for Flash Wolves to be in.
Remember, their 80 carry is injured.
And this time,
LXG and Xiaohu coming around. Mujin trying to get himself away from this one. Goes ahead, drops the subjugate, keeps himself healthy. And now it's actually a very weak MLXG having to run himself away from this one, down to about 1/3 health.
But very important that Flash Wolves managed to disengage it, because this was the first time Mabel was still in the mid lane by the time they were actually getting to the turret. Luckily for them, nothing happened. RNG gets to step away themselves, but they will lose a turret for it.
Again, the pressure takes its toll. Uzi was so low that he was not a part of that aggressive move. Even though they had 4 members technically there, Uzi's recalling at the tower because he was chunked so low on the Tristana. And Olaf, as a champion, works so much off of pressure and trying to run at them and force your opponents to run away. If they can stand and fight in even terms, you immediately have to turn around. And that's why it's so scary for an Olaf not to have such a big early advantage.
And we have now seen in the previous games and back in the LPL, like RNG play a lot of these like split push 1-3-1 comps where Xiaohu can be in a side lane and be very strong, and someone like Let Me or Zietai, who of course is not here for the team, can sit in the other side lane and try and pressure a little bit and set up a potential gango play with Xiaohu and the top laner. But that's going to be very hard in this game. Like, it's a Maokai who's not going to bring a lot of damage, and then it's a Karma coming up there. It doesn't really function for RNG then, so it's going to have to be them just grouping as 5 as much as possible and protecting Uzi no matter what. But before that really is going to be effective, then this Tristana needs more items, and that's going to slow down the game a lot for RNG.
And I want to harken back to what we mentioned earlier, talking about the CSD at 15 numbers, how when you have the best 2 going against each other, somebody's is going to be ruined. And right now, it's Uzi who's falling behind in farm when you compare him to Betty, to how much he's farmed up already. 167 here on this Ezreal, doing a great job keeping that economy topped off.
This is Flash Wolves' time to dictate how this game goes. They've got the 2-item Ezreal with a Janna right next to him, and the regeneration of an Ocean Drake. Once again, just siege up, throw out your Qs, even have Trundle pass by, throw the pillar down so you can land more of your skill shots, and just continually, slowly gain advantages, or quickly gain advantages by hitting all your skill shots.
Speaking of those skill shots, that's how you dial them in. I've seen so many Zoes hit bubbles into missiles, but Maple Zoe doesn't even need the bubble first. He throws the missile out and finds the damage anyway again. 3 times now we've seen it very recently as the push continues. Important members, Chunk Low on the side of RNG.
We're also just seeing how hard it is for RNG to kill the wave fast enough. Like, Karma will just hit a bunch of the minions, but not the entire wave, and instantly one-shot them. Uzi doesn't have static shift yet on his side to try and assist either, so it's very easy for Flash Wolves whenever a wave hits the turret to actually hit or shoot multiple skill shots. It's not just 1 round, it's 2 and 3 rounds.
Yeah, it's been quite a while since, team compositions that revolve around sieging and poke were so popular and so effective, but especially because they, got that early start. Definitely something gained by Flash Wolves. Here, though, something gained by RNG as MLXG tries to run to get themselves an Ocean Drake to match.
And to grab a little bit of that sustain to keep them in a safer spot against some of the poke coming through, but the bubble and the barrage will not find their way onto the Drake in time. RNG get themselves that, but they're still down 3,500 gold. 19 minutes into the game. That is no small amount.
Yeah, a lot of that, again, is because of the extra turrets here. Flash Wolves have been able to get, they got the bonus gold on the first one, number 2 in mid lane already knocked down, and they can continue to keep up that pressure, try and move in your ward line a little bit.
We talked earlier about how it was important that Flash was in the mid game. Bree started getting down turrets and actually being able to get more control of the map. Makes it harder for Uzi and the rest of RNG to safely pick up farm because there's always a bubble flying over the wall, potentially landing and killing you. So now with them killing those 2 turrets, they have the Rift Hill. They can easily get the top lane turret as well because they have a far superior AD carry at this point in the game and a lot more damage from Mabel. It then sets up very nicely for that Baron, which is spawning soon, with the Cho'Gath Feast on your side as well and a Trundle who can sit and tank it. So they have so many tools to just in the next few minutes take all the outer turrets and then actually start playing around Baron itself and probably secure it very early.
Yeah, you can already see RNG getting a little bit antsy, some wards going down around the Baron because they know the threat is so real of, Flash Wolves taking it either with Cho'Gath or just sitting around and using the Fog Ward to draw them to this dangerous area where bubbles are flying at you and all the skill shots start to come out.
And I like what we're seeing right now from Flash Wolves. They know they're ahead. They know they're in that driver's seat, so they're pushing up into enemy territory. All these wards going down, just looking to utilize the power of those bubbles over the wall that you were talking about that make picks so easy.
We get that quick burst build as well from Mabel. Luden's Echo, and then he's going to get a Lich Bane, so when he jumps over and also gets to just auto onto a target, like, it's so much damage so quickly. It's going to be really hard for RNG to actually avoid getting poked down. And the moment you get poked low, either will die immediately after or you're forced back to base, and then the Baron is suddenly an option. Now it's going to be that top lane turret with the Rift Hill, as we just talked about, and it's all of Flash Wolves members here.
Shelly summoned up. The banner minion will try to defend for now, but it will be taken down. There comes the smite. Muujin's got no patience for this as the Flash Wolves move on to the tier 1 turret. They get it with the help of the Herald, and it looks like they'll just decide to back away after that one. Turret goes down. That's all she wrote.
Yeah, attempt at a counterplay here from RNG in the mid lane, but teleport was used by Maple, and Betty's here fighting.
Betty taken pretty low on that one. Maple continuing to follow up on this. Does go for the Sleepy Trouble Bubble, but Black Shield onto Uzi's going to make sure that does not succeed. Maple continues looking for some damage, takes some of his own instead. Enchanted Inner Flame going to make sure of that as the push will still keep going topside until Let Me moves into place to stop.
Life sucks for Let Me. He can't push a lane properly. He just wants to push it out and then go join his team to actually help them if they need to force any sort of engage around a Baron or if Flash Wolves are currently sieging. But for now, at least he gets a bit of time. It is Flash Wolves been on the map for quite a while, been making plays, securing top tier. They need to go back, spend all the gold, kind of reset the whole thing, but they are still in full control on this side. Uzi still not sitting on eye edge.
Uzi not where he wants to be as the man who all so often ends up being the one that the rest of the team's hopes and dreams are on the back of. This is the carry. This is the guy the composition is built around. This is the one that they're just waiting for him to come online while their opponents, you can see, look at the itemization of Betty. You've got the Muramana completely built and transformed. The second tier is stacking. And although you mentioned earlier, Deficio, Ezreal, so strong when he has the couple of items. Once he has the Muramana and the Trinity Force, the mid-game normally being his spike, the double tier build enables that champion to transition so well into a late-game David King.
Yeah, Flash Wolves aren't really feeling the clock quite yet because they have been able to keep the CS away from Uzi. This is by far, you know, the lowest CS that he has had per minute, especially here at MSI. Under even the 10-minute or the 10 per minute mark that we usually associate with kind of the standard.
And I love the fact that 10 per minute is normally
It's the
like
old
really
standard,
good.
actually.
It's really good if you look at it in an objective case. Like, you're never going to see that in any of your solo queue games, and sometimes even in pro play you don't see it. But for Uzi, it's like, wow, only 10 per minute. That's really low compared to what you normally get from this guy. But it is still the reality. It is still where RNG is right now in this game. Still 5,000 gold behind us. They will be able to pass their red buff off to that 80 carry.
And what I want to see now is Cho'Gath put the banner down bot side, feast the enemy banner minion, and then you guarantee the push, and you can just walk up to join your team if you want to start making a play around Baron, because the cooldown on feast is very low at this point from, so it's going to be ready fairly soon, and the Maokai just struggles to deal with the banner command minion himself. There we go from his side, and Letmis is already on cooldown. I actually just going back to see if Hanabi just decided to feast it. Probably did.
Meanwhile, mid lane we have a collapse from RNG.
Betty in some trouble as CC comes down. The damage goes through. Goodbye, Betty. Uzi grabs himself kill number 1 of this game.
Righteous Glory and Flash used from Let Me to force this one, but they were able to take down the AD carry. So finally, RNG have some breathing room to actually work with.
That was a very small window. Before Hanabi had started his push with the banner, Let Me just walks into mid lane. It's not communicated properly by Flash rules, and then suddenly, despite it being an S-roll with Flash, they actually managed to surprise it. That's why the Maokai pick, of course, can be extremely valuable. But that little window should have been communicated by Flash rules, and it should not have allowed RNG to get a kill.
Yeah, the reliability that we kind of talked about in Champ Select of Maokai, and the hard engage point and click is on demonstration right there in the mid lane.
With the TP though, Flash rules can still go to Baron and at least force Let Me to react. If you can get him to TP over and you then disengage, that's the TP gone, and your Cho'Gath gets full control of the bottom side, and RNG, they will start struggling a bit, have to put Xiaohu suddenly to defend, but Flash rules are slowing down again on their side. It is only 24 minutes in, so we can't really blame them just yet.
Well, I actually...
There we go, I like this.
I would have, you know, taken up the Infernal Drake really quickly first, but they are burning the Baron right now, trying to force a check from RNG.
It's a rather slow burn. Baron's health not going down anytime soon. Flash Wolves wisely not popping those wards. They're making sure that they're getting as much as they can out of this. The control ward over the wall now going to be teleported onto. Flash Wolves should be forced away. Baron to about half HP, but the TP is canceled.
And this is exactly what they wanted. They knew it was going to be risky to just rush it down. There might be a giant team fight, but they get the TP from the Maokai. So now they can actually reset again, go back, push another minion wave, and you can at any point with your double TP start a new Baron. Xiaohu, if he's not the one defending bot side, then Let Me's never going to move in time, and you're going to be 5v4.
Even before that, they're going to be able to get a lot of damage on this turret. Their banner is ready and already firing, so they get turret gold after that as well.
4 turrets to 1 now for the Flash Wolves, dominating in the objective game over RNG, taking more map control as they go. That just opens up more and more avenues for them to get into the enemy jungle, set down those wards, and be that much more mindful of what RNG's next step is going to be.
And in addition, Maple found another teleport in the balloon minion, I believe, there, or actually got it out of the other one. And he was able to use Let Me's get down to the bottom side.
Here we
Now
go.
they're coming back.
Now they say, all right, Maokai can't TP into this. He's pretty far away. We're going to start the Baron up yet again, but they'll back off.
Oh, and this is where you sometimes from pro teams, you see a bit of impatience. They can actually just go back, set the entire map up again with all control on bottom side from the Cho'Gath, wait 1 or 2 minutes, and then go back to this Baron. But because they see RNG at the Infernal Drake, they're like, let's rush it. They might all 5 be at the Drake. They just don't have the damage to kill it fast enough to actually do that, and they end up now giving over a Drake to RNG. And RNG gets a bit more time where Let Me's TP will now fairly soon be ready again.
RNG makes the best out of the situation, getting that extra damage for Uzi, who we were talking earlier about how, oh, he doesn't even have the Infinity Edge yet. He's fallen a little bit behind, but you're at that 3-item spike on Tristana. You're at that point we always reference where your damage becomes a legitimate team fight threat.
All right, will they be able to pull that to victory, though? Because it's still going to be so difficult for them. No flash on Let Me for the Maokai to get all the way back to lock down one of those carries. So he's going to have to get a little bit more creative, and that becomes difficult when Flash Wolves have such good vision control around the Baron area.
May not have the flash, but he does have the karma. He does have the righteous glory. There's still avenues to make this work.
They just used the banner in the mid lane trying to siege again, but that's where Uzi is sitting. He can kill this banner very, very quickly. It's on the side lanes where there's the two AP champions that struggle to deal with it. They can actually, well, just have to see it push in. Xiaohu already pushed the bottom lane. Banner is still alive, but it's gonna die now. And Flash Wolves, they're trying to force mid. They looked like the team wants to go towards Baron, but RNG, they're around. They should be ready to fight.
Ming's been doing a good job with these black shields here too, trying to protect Uzi from either the impact of the trouble bubble or, if nothing else, the sleep component afterwards. Fujin throwing down the pillar, trying to keep his opponents away. Baron is down to about 2/3 HP. RNG have no vision on the pit. They don't know what the health looks like. They don't even know that Flash Wolves are
they're
on
not
it.
even gonna check it.
RNG are going to end up giving this away for free. It's taken down to 1,000 HP just as the sapling goes over the wall and the beast secures it. Flash Wolves get it clean.
I mean, it's a difficult situation to be in, but RNG now going to be in a worse position as the Baroned up siege power is going to come through. And again, they still have such an easy time here with Trundle Pillar kind of taking away a lot of the extra room you have to dodge with the skill shots coming through. So you have to have your eyes on Let Me, on the Maokai. When he goes Righteous Glory and Flash, they're going to have to kill that target. And it's going to have to be Betty or Maple that they get with it.
And one thing I want to point out as well, both these champions, these frontliners on the side of RNG, Olaf and Maokai, get so much out of healing. Executioner's calling on Betty means that's going to be shut down.
I'd like to see that, but before here, Flash was ended up getting the Baron when RNG, they were actually all around. I just went back and checked. Xiaohu's blue trinket was ready for 10 seconds where he didn't use it. And then he decided to use it much, much later, just when the Baron died. And RNG just ended up not respecting the fact that Flash Wolves could have started a 2 to 3 man Baron, and they maybe got a little bit too scared of Zoe. So that suddenly is a huge play for the Flash Wolves.
Yeah, again, it's such a difficult situation to be in. But now what do you do? Because the Baroned up siege is going to take effect. Zoe still can throw bubbles here.
We'll see how much the mistake cost them. It's already going to be a tier 2 that drops right now. Turret destroyed by the side of Flash Wolves makes that total a number 5. The trouble bubble is barely stepped out of the way by Uzi. Flash Wolves continuing the push here in the bottom lane. Let Me taking a chunk of damage, knocked up into the air by the Rupture. Banner Minion continuing to fire with the Baron buff from the safety of its range. Means Flash Wolves is comfortably laying siege to this base. They take down inhibitor turret number 1. Moving now onto the inhibitor itself.
Uzi's taking pot shots from the side and getting a couple of chunks down, but now actually they force Maokai in there.
Hanami trying to get himself away, Let Me into the back line, but he's all alone. He's isolated, having to flash out. He can't quite do what he wants to do. Instead, get taken down. Maple grabs that kill there for himself. Xiaohu trying to get himself away, but it's Betty who grabs the kill now onto MLXG as Uzi retreats with the remaining members of this team. Flash Wolves want to push to find the win right here. Baron buff enchant on the minion wave. Nexus turret number 1 taken down. Nexus turret number 2 will swiftly be the target. Uzi shielded up, but where's the damage? What can he do? Nexus exposed. Betty off to the side, wanting to take this one down. Uzi looking away. Can he find the damage? Flash Wolves win!
4-0 for Flash Wolves. They remain undefeated here at MSI. What an opening for them.
And they controlled this game here. They knew exactly what they wanted to do in the early game, and they start setting up, killing the turret, and it was all about Baron.
They control this group stage here, Deficio. Highest record in the entire set. And congratulations, well-deserved victory.
One of the teams that found their way here fighting through that last part of the play-ins. Remember that this team had to go through that extra step to earn their spot here in the MSI group stages, and they're the ones, not Kingzone, not RNG, not Liquid, not Fnatic, not Evos, not anyone. These are the ones with no defeat still on the record.
And they're playing so well. Like, you look at the LMS region, and it's just dominated by the Flash Wolves, so it feels like they're going to enter an international tournament not being too strong, but they're currently just beating everyone left and right. And this game here, like, they showed full understanding of how to snowball with the Ezreal and then playing around the Baron. It looked like it was going a little bit too long. Uzi had gotten his items. It felt like, okay, now RNG maybe can fight. But then they started with 2 members, and RNG just like, well, I guess they're not doing it, and just kept waiting around. At the moment they got it, they just won the game.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of think that's the only way that RNG could get in is, oh yeah, Uzi needs to get some more items and stuff, but as he gets more items, there's also tank shredding Trundle on one side,
Yeah.
and it's very hard to get back to these carries. The Janna pick for Sword Art worked out so well when we're so used to seeing them like, Sword Art is a playmaker. They're going to play around him, you know, with hard CC champion, he's going to create all these openings for the team. He was like, you know what? We're just going to go with the Janna, some siege, keep on shielding, slowly wear away at the bottom turret,
Yep.
And delay, you know, Uzi's income and delay those crit items from building up.
And while it is about playing towards the bottom lane, Mabel specifically in the mid lane, like, he's doing so well this tournament, and it's so great to see, like, the Zoe pick. He only got 2 kills, but there was barely any kills in the game for him to get. It was just all about constant poke pressure, and he kept forcing Uzi away from the lanes, you know, deny some of the farm and just keep RNG down.
Now, he only got 2 kills, but he also got a lot of health bars down to about that much.
So that counts as a kill, basically.
Yeah, pretty much counts as a kill anyway. I mean, I don't want to jump to any conclusions or anything, boys, but
Yes,
I just
you
want to
do.
say
Best team in the
that
world.
the LMS is one of the only regions not named Korea to have won Worlds before. And they're putting on an international performance here so far. We'll have to see if it can continue, but now we're going to head over to the State Farm analyst desk for more on that game.
Thank you very much, Captain Flowers. A 4-0 Flash Wolves taking down RNG. I feel like essentially any and all preconceived notions of this tournament are being thrown out the window here with the performance put together by the LMS squad.
Also, Fnatic has won Worlds, by the way. We're talking about other regions winning Worlds.
Season
Just wanna-
1.
We are in Europe, so
Don't forget.
don't get the
Good
lynch
point.
mob together. We have to clarify that right off the bat. But yeah, man, this game definitely defied expectations for me.
Right.
The first win the LMS has ever had against the LPL at MSI, moving that record to 1-8.
As well as the first of the 2 tests that you claimed LMS has here, the Flash Wolves have to kind of prove themselves in the group stages here at MSI. Kingzone still to be played against tomorrow. But Papa Smithy, how do you feel about the Flash Wolves here sitting undefeated?
At the end of the day, I think they're putting their faith in the right picks. If we go to picks and bans in this game, the Ezreal priority was, I think, the thing that separated the 2 teams. Again, we're seeing teams kind of leave the Ezreal open, thinking they can go for a plan. This was the karma, this was the double support. That was the emphasis from RNG in the first round.
I'm gonna take off the kid gloves. This is one of those RNG drafts where I look at it, I'm like, what the hell? Like, come on, where's the meta priority here? You just got smacked by Ezreal when Kingzone picked it up. You had the opportunity to grab it in game number 2. It was a Trundle priority, and then it was Karma Olaf. Why not grab Karma Ezreal right there? One of the best picks against a Trundle is some sort of kiting champion. It's a lot of times why we see the Graves being picked into the Trundle, the ability to skirmish him, to kite around. You don't need to grab the Olaf there, and so it tells me that Morgana was the higher priority there, because they could have also then, you know, tried to slip in, move the Olaf pick there, but they wanted the Tristana Morgana bot lane, thinking that it would be enough, and it just wasn't. And I'm just tired of seeing it repeatedly from RNG. They do this all the time.
So not happy with the draft phase coming out of RNG, but that's not to say that the game couldn't be won, and that's where we have to look at the execution of the picks, the players that are piloting these champions, and we're going to turn a critical eye here to MLXG in the way that he performed on that Olaf in this game.
MLX
D.
A, B, C, D. Oh, D.
And to Frog's point, the reason you pick the Olaf early, because it's going to get outscaled by the Trundle, is so you can get a tempo advantage early. You see them invading the red buff, but then why try the gank? They saw you invading the red buff, get it going early. He then tries a very late Raptors and just gets killed by Maple. So this had so many future effects on the game. It means that Olaf no longer has the tempo advantage on the Trundle. It means Maple gets lane priority over the Karma. That means Karma can't come down bottom to punish the shoving Ezreal and Janna. So to me, the draft made sense logically for RNG. But as soon as that happened, as soon as MLXD did that, it fell apart.
Right.
Even the Maokai pick? You're even like, okay with the Maokai
pick I do not agree with as much.
Thank you.
Especially against Cho'Gath Trundle, but that's a whole other
I think you hit something really crucial there, too. What that enabled Maple to do, and we have to give credit to Maple for taking that kill and extending the advantage to an exemplary degree, piloting this Zoe to such an extent that even without the Sleepy Trouble bubbles, just paddle starring people to death left and right. But Papa Smithy, I think if we are going to look at Flash Wolves and something that they can clean up moving forward, we still have some questions decisions around their macro play, especially in that mid to late game, in how they're taking maybe a 4K advantage and ultimately closing out the game.
Yeah, it was very tenuous until they made an excellent Baron setup. We should definitely credit them for that. Kind of my biggest takeaway, because we were left thinking both about the Maokai pick and about the Janna pick, because the Janna pick didn't necessarily seem like it was going to disengage. To me, this tournament, which has been so up in the air, it feels like the predictions have really started to fall away, is kind of the 1-2 punch of Flash Wolves did have very strong siege. If they got through the early game, it seemed like the Olaf would kind of be the tempo setter. When the Olaf falls away and the siege falls into place, which Janna, of course, is huge in contributing to, that's where I felt like RNG were largely powerless. And even though Flash Wolves weren't killing the game instantly, it always felt like they were one good macro move away from closing.
And I think, we have to remind ourselves of those pre-tournament expectations. A lot of the power rankings across the world had Flash Wolves maybe sitting in that 5th position, maybe competing for a 4th slot and barely getting out of groups. And here they sit atop the table at 4-0, ultimately decimating the competition.
I mean, domestically, a lot of the LMS experts will talk about how you have a lot more Korean imports getting injected into the scene. The mid-tier teams start to rise up, so it's not necessarily as top-heavy of a region as it used to be. That said, going back, watching the G-Rex Flash Wolves final, there's a lot of questionable things that happens in that game. There's people dying to Rift Heralds, there's people almost dying to Krugs, and so it's just, we say this all the time, it is so hard to separate Flash Wolves' domestic performance to their international performance, but it is so easy to look at Maple, put a magnifying glass on the fact that he really stepped up this split versus 2017, and Papa, I mean, you said it.
Best player of the tournament so far.
Exactly.
Wow, big words there. Maple, the best player of the tournament so far. Flash Wolves, the best team of the tournament so far. We've got an EU and NA clash to close out the day as Fnatic and Team Liquid face off after the break. Don't go anywhere.
He has the flash, but that's a full HP Maple. He's trying to get away from this when the Ignite is down, and First Blood with double buffs on the side. He's isolated, having to flash out. He can't quite do what he wants to do. Instead, get taken down. Maple grabs that kill there for himself. Xiaohu trying to get himself away, but it's Betty. What can he do? Nexus exposed. Betty off the side, wanting to take this one down. Uzi looking away, can't he find the damage? Oh, no, Flash Wolves win!
Welcome back, everyone, to MSI 2018. We're ahead of the big NA LCS versus EU LCS clash, Team Liquid versus Fnatic. I'm joined by Dylan Falco, the coach for Fnatic. Now, Dylan, this morning there was a huge upset with Fnatic winning versus Kingzone, which must have been a huge confidence boost. But how did you work with the team to make sure that they could preserve their energy going into this very important next game?
After such a poor day yesterday, everyone was super pumped after winning. So I think the overall energy in the preparation of TL was really high, and we just went through a lot of scenarios, and we just make sure that we're ready for basically anything that can happen.
Okay, well, with TL losing the game earlier, it's going to be all or nothing for them as well. They're going to give it their all. What do you, from an outside perspective, think it's going to come down to that's going to make Fnatic take the win?
We scrimmed TL a lot before this event. They were boot camping in Europe, and I actually think they're a much better team than what they've shown thus far. I think their strengths of the team, actually, they have a lot of good shot calling, especially mid-late game. But I think in lane, and I think especially Caps is playing insane this tournament, I think it would probably come down to the mid lane, and I think Caps is a huge advantage for us, and probably what it will come down to.
Okay, well, we'll see how it turns out. Thank you very much, and the best of luck.
Thank you very much, Shox. I'm going to use that interview to kickstart our discussion here for the EU versus NA clash. Shox said it is do or die time for the Team Liquid squad and North America's hopes. And with that, Dylan Falco says it's going to be all about the mid lane and the momentum that they've built around Caps as a star player.
Yeah, when I heard him talking about Team Liquid, I think they're a lot better than they've shown. Like, I did too, and I'm still waiting for Team Liquid to play their first game at MSI, because the Team Liquid that's played at MSI hasn't been them. It's been the split pushing team with Yasuo mid, with Joey, with Gangplank top. Just kind of play what you're good at so you have a chance against this Fnatic team, who I think they were doing fine against in scrims during their bootcamp.
And that's the thing, though, is that on the other side, Fnatic have returned to the Fnatic that European fans wanted to see. They grabbed all their comfort champions, and yeah, we still haven't quite seen Reckless pop off, be that MVP, but Caps is doing so much of the heavy lifting for him.
And momentum, of course, is a big word for Fnatic. They beat Kingzone DragonX. That was something no one was predicting for Day, on a day where we've had some really big upsets. And to me, that was not just about the level 1, which I thought was smart. I loved seeing something proactive. Both Fnatic and Team Liquid had been meandering at level 1. They do something proactive, it hits big. It won't every time, but I like that sort of ethos to go for something. It was also, what I really took away, a team-wide attempt to track Peanut. They understood, this person's behind after level 1, let's keep him behind. They stuck to it, and they won the game. And I think both these teams on their day can do that. I just hope Team Liquid can finally remember what their day looks like, because it feels like all the VODs I watched of them have been in vain, because that team, as Jad so succinctly put, hasn't shown up, the team that was in NA.
I want to touch on something. You alluded to this idea of preparation for Kingzone, and the fact that Falco just talked about, how much they've been scrimming together. It should fairly be easy that if they came in with the same preparation that they should against Kingzone, against Team Liquid, who have been their scrim partners over the course of the tournament, we could start to see some very interesting dynamics in this matchup, past just the hype of EU versus NA.
Oh, right. I think this goes well beyond EU versus NA at this point, because while you're staring down the barrel of an 0-4 start here for Team Liquid, the only other team to start 0-4 in the current format of MSI would be G2 from 2016. They did not qualify for the knockout stage, and so it kind of just puts even more emphasis on the necessity to pick up a win here. But Jad, if they do pick up this win, funnily enough, they're tied for 4th with 3 teams sitting at 1 and 3. So again, just this win, it would do immense good for this Team Liquid squad.
Yeah, look towards the future. 3-way tie for 4th. There's going to be what looks like Flash Wolves, RNG, and Kingzone up there. You can tie with Fnatic and actually hold the tiebreaker above them. You then tie with Evos. If they just win this game, as you can see on the screen there, Ole's back in. We were kind of speculating that after they get blasted by Flash Wolves, Ole's going to think, hey, actually, there's a lot wrong with this team. I don't need to just blame myself. Go in there and play your game. This team is those 5.
Right.
For sure. It's not the team with Joey. I'm really happy that Ole is back in there, and I think it does give TL a fighting chance.
So let's put some more specificity then to how they can win this game. We've talked about bringing it back to the classic Team Liquid style, what they showed us during the regular season. We've talked about wanting the 5v5s, Papa Smithy. Get rid of this 1-3-1. Get rid of this 4-1. All of that shenanigans. Give me some more specificity. Let's put some champions to it. If we had our druthers in a vacuum, right, obviously it'll play out differently. What kind of champions are we looking at that Team Liquid might be able to pilot to a victory?
Yeah, if we say keep it simple, the top laner, a tank, an orange, something that can initiate, that part is simple. The jungle, I think, is a little bit more up in the air. I think I really trust Smithy to look at the matchup and really consider something. I think Trundle's their priority. But of course, they can go for something else. We know he's not an Olaf player, but a controlled jungler of some sort. And the mid lane, that's the part where I think that we really need to see a difference, because I think they went very Pobelta-centric and tried something. They rolled the dice with the Ornn and Yasuo. Now it's just back to something normal, maybe the Talia for Pobelta.
All right, well, of course, we got Fnatic looking to create some separation. Team Liquid just trying to stay in it at this point. Let's see if Team Liquid can bounce back against Fnatic as we leave it to Captain Flowers, Kobe, and Officio.
Thank you very much, Dash. It is indeed do or die here for Team Liquid. I want to see this team step up and play the way all the fans in NA are hoping they can play, but after the win earlier today against Kingzone, all the EU fans, all the Fnatic fans, I'm sure, are hoping they can continue that dominance and continue to just take down their opponents like they want to here against Liquid.
Yeah, these two teams are coming in with very different mental states. You know, having a player elect to be subbed out of the team and not want to play a game in the first day of a tournament is completely crazy. Meanwhile, you also have the European LCS, Fnatic, winning a game against, you know, the #1 Korean team. So they're coming off a very big high, and it's going to be a lot about have Team Liquid been able to rebound and, you know, what Fnatic are going to look like after their victory.
And we were all talking in the caster lounge earlier and kind of joking around about once it came down to this game, since this is the last game of the day, what would both of these teams' mental be like as you hit that final game of the day based on what the first games looked like? And you can't come off of a much bigger high than taking down Kingzone. And for Team Liquid, there's got to be frustrations with how poorly the first few games have gone as well. So we'll see that difference potentially in that manifest itself, or if Team Liquid has the strong mental game, we'll see if they can pull it out.
So we have Gravespan obviously setting up a potential Trundle first pick for Fnatic. Ezreal ban on the side of Team Liquid is interesting. It's of course been a big thing during the tournament, but it's actually been one of the least favorite AD carries when it comes to Reckless. He's been forced to play it a few times in the ULCS when there were like 5 AD carry bans, but he's never seemed to like it. With this build, of course, there's a bit more late game power. I still think though he wants to play things like a Tristana over Ezreal. Also what we saw against Kingzone.
Yeah, as far as the tournament meta, you'd be like, oh, the Team Liquid bans are fine. Those are expected bans. But as far as Reckless bans, both those two AD carries are not what you expect. Here we go, though. Tristana is taken away, as you said. The Trundle, I feel like, is a really good first pick and well orchestrated by Fnatic to force Team Liquid here into a little bit more of the pressure for the early game. Is Smithy, is Team Liquid going to coordinate for those invades? Are they going to try and get that advantage?
Not a standard pick for him though with Olaf here. The first time he gets to play.
That's why I'm saying it's a well orchestrated early ban phase here from Fnatic to force Team Liquid into this.
Well, Team Liquid will go with that Olaf into Trundle matchup, just like we saw last game. Kind of that whole thing you guys talked about then.
Reckless.
But Reckless will pick himself up the Sivir.
I was about to mention potential rage play AD carries he could go for and try and really abuse a super strong mid game against the Tristana, but he's always favored Sivir. Even when other players do not want to play it, if you go far enough down the list, he will grab it for himself. He's like, okay, the laning phase, I can just perma-shove it in, and then late game, he can become this huge carry. We saw it, of course, in the EULCS finals where he got pentakills on a Sivir, and it's something he's just always gone back to if he felt like he needed to carry in the late game.
Well, this is the first Sivir this tournament, so we'll see if Reckless can make a great debut on this champion he enjoys playing so much. He will be playing it with quite a hefty front line, not just that Trundle that we already saw, but now the Scion also locked in here for Fnatic as Team Liquid decide to grab the Alistar for themselves before the second wave of bans come through.
Yeah, it seems like a very Fnatic lineup here. You have your Sivir for Reckless. They're going to have one of the premier tanks in the top lane for Bwipo. Bwipo looks so good on the Ornn earlier. Now they're going to have him on the Scion, and he should have, you know, a decent showing up there. Even though, you know, Impact, everyone always talks about his tank play. That should be pretty even.
I think that's just the biggest change, or one of the biggest changes for Fnatic coming into the games today. It's not the Swain Vladimir top for Bwipo, it is just the tank. You can play around Caps and the bot lane. The Alistar pick, however, is pretty huge here for Team Liquid. It's very good against Sivir, because it's so hard for her to spell shield the engage from an Alistar when it comes in with 2 abilities. at the same time, and then he can also stay on top of her. She doesn't have any dashes to then stun her right after when his E is fully stacked. So this tells me that Team Liquid are getting ready to force some plays around that bottom side against Reckless.
This is also kind of a throwback. You know, Ole, when he was on Immortals and had his MVP split, a lot of it was Alistar or Bard roaming around the map and creating plays elsewhere. You know, since he was paired with Double Lift, everyone was like, well, he's gonna have to focus more on lane phase now, much more, you know, for the bottom lane. But if they've been trying other things and he, you know, kind of wanted to do something different, they might actually have some openings as well for him to roam, not just for the laning phase power of the combos.
So with these second parts of the bans coming through now, Team Liquid very concerned with how much protection Hylissang can give to Reckless here as they ban out two of the more defensive supports, the Janna and the Tahm Kench, both taken away, while Fnatic will focus the solo lanes, getting rid of Ornn and Vladimir.
Yeah, it's pretty smart because they have a lot of ways of reaching that backline already. Top lane wise, like Cho'Gath is still available, and with the Ornn ban, he just seems to be the go-to choice against the Sion here. Just gives him a little bit more threat against tanks.
Oh.
There it is again.
Now, Caps looks so good, so clean, so quick on the Yasuo. Even though they did lose that game, I was definitely impressed.
And he's going to show Pobelter. He's like, all right, you locked it in earlier today. Let me show you how the Yasuo is played. Plus, he's got 3 different teammates that can provide the knockups.
And people might think it's crazy that we have these blind pick Yasuos, but of the current mid laners, none of them actually counter Yasuo specifically, so you can take him. You have to go out of your way to find something completely untraditional if you want to find a little niche counter pick to use against it. So we can clearly see here that both Caps and earlier today Team Liquid, they're fine taking it blind.
And as someone from NA, this is what I like to see from Team Liquid. You're putting Pobelter back on a champion that he's known for playing well, that fits his play style better, that fits Team Liquid as a whole's play style better. Being on this Azir matches up much better with him than being on something like the Yasuo, and we'll see how well he does with it up against that pick.
Yeah, he has to watch out for the combination. Trundle Pillar into Yasuo ultimate. All you need is a little bump to be able to trigger a Yasuo ultimate, and Trundle Pillar is one of the best use cases for that because it's long range and you don't really have to commit to it. So we may be seeing some of that interaction as well.
Oh, for sure. But it's pure grouped together as 5 for Team Liquid. It's how they won a lot of games back in North America. Try and run at the enemy team with some decent engage coming from the Alistar. But if this Yasuo gets ahead, he goes to that side lane and Azir will never stop him.
So we've got a hard carry for Double Lift. We've got a roaming potential support for Ole. We've got a tank for Impact. We've got Pobelter on a champion he's known for. We heard in the interview and in the analyst desk discussion before this game that we wanted to see the Team Liquid that we've seen play during this split show up now. This looks much more like that team.
But that's where I got disappointed last game they played with the Yasuo pick, because that's not the standard Team Liquid. They could have gone for a normal mage in the mid lane and had a much better composition to try and beat Flash Wolves.
Well, we got to jump on this early game because Team Liquid with an Alistar and an Olaf should be looking, for an early invade to try and get some wards down at least to see where the other Junkerats are going to go. If not, go for an aggressive play.
And I'm talking about Team Liquid being on champions you'd expect them to be on, but Fnatic, they've also got plenty of power picks up their sleeve.
Yeah, they've grouped up, and again, talking about power packs early, they have, they're actually just charging through with the Braum. I was going to say the Braum definitely brings a lot of power to the level 1s, and they're going to use that to make their own early invade here.
Oh, wait, they are now on the other side. All of Team Liquid around. Normally you see, the team is just fanning out, step away, saying, okay, fine, we go into your jungle, but Team Liquid, they want to fight this one.
Fnatic just sort of doing the do-si-do around here with Team Liquid, but they'll find themselves stuck now between a Liquid and a hard place. We'll see if they can get themselves away. Bwipo down below half HP. Rupture comes through, gonna force the flash away from that Sion. That's an immobile top laner now without an escape mechanism.
This is how I want to see EU versus NA start out, baby.
Level 1.
Full-on invade. Let's switch slides here. Oh, we're gonna come back.
Here we go again. I was talking to Shox back in the caster lounge before these games happened earlier, and she said the EU versus NA games always have the crazy stuff happen in them. The rivalry being on the line makes all the players want to step up and be that big playmaker, but nothing too crazy just yet.
Okay, I for sure thought we were going to have the big fight, but we saw all the Fanatics away from this one. We both did have to use his flash, so I guess small win for Team Liquid.
Right. We'll see if they can make anything out of that, if Xmithie can come up there and pay him a visit.
But Fnatic have full vision of this Olaf start here for Xmithie, so you know, Fnatic are going to be able to kind of track him as the game does go on. Smithy does have the early tempo advantage, though, on Broxah, because Fnatic obviously had to take the long walk back home since they were on the opposite side of the map, and Smithy is going to be able to get 2 camps done before Broxah is able to roam over to his blue side.
So early push as well for Doublelift down the bottom lane. Been there just slightly before Fnatic's bot lane showed up. We'll get level 2 after this melee minion dies, but of course Fnatic staying near the turret. No chance of an all-in, so crazy start. Could have suddenly been a bunch of kills, ends up just being a summoner, and a bit of a CS advantage for Team Liquid.
A crazy start with a mild result. Both teams hoping for a little bit more, but nobody being set drastically far behind early on. We'll see how Xmithie decides to spend his time after clearing out this red buff, because remember, the Olaf does do exceptionally well clearing when he has that lower HP, but Broxah also on the top side of the map, recognizing that his top laner is the most desirable gank target right now for Team Liquid, hanging out up here, making sure he's ready.
Yeah, Smithy just goes for the power clear here on Olaf. With the blue buff, he can finish off the Krugs very quickly as well. But the early Scuttle Crab was taken by Broxah there, so dipping into the river for a little bit of extra vision and getting the gold as well. Meanwhile, because Quippo is getting pushed in, there's no chance for his flash to be punished right now. That one being down, and Smithy's just going to go for the recall. He'll pick up some boots, and you can look to use an early Predator, maybe on the other side of the map, or at least control the Scuttle Crab. Belter also going to do some jungle tracking for his compatriot.
Yep, he'll keep track of that Raptor camp as well as take away the Scryer's Bloom so his opponents can't use it to their own advantage. Quippo taken down to about 100 HP up here. Impact really owning this lane.
Yeah, that makes you think that, you know, if Smithy had actually stuck around on the top side, there being no flash on sign, they might have been able to go for a dive, but because he did not, the recall is going to get off. Teleport will just reset here, and no harm, no foul.
Yeah, Quippo loses, what, 2, maybe 3 creeps from that? No, not even 3. He'll just lose the first couple of them, get himself back there. He is behind slightly in farm, but he'll take that early on for staying safe.
Yeah, decent lead there for Impact on the Cho'Gath. He's going to feel very confident about that, and the jungle tracking does continue as Smithy reveals his position, going to put that ward on Krugs and makes a visit mid.
While bottom side, it's Doublelift under some pressure here. Hylissang looking to go in on this one, drop the ignite, damage comes through. Doublelift walking away, but still first blooded by the Fnatic bottom lane. Ole now in some trouble, 1 versus 2. Needs to walk himself away from this one rather quickly.
Oh man, this was not the bot lane where we were looking for Sivir to suddenly pick up a bunch of kills, but it's actually an all-in from Fnatic. Yes, Hylissang managed to get the first blood for himself, but it goes over and in favor of Europe. Brox is now around. All this does flash, so he shouldn't be able to, of course, force anything extra here. Smithy was just warding up the enemy jungle, then he walks into mid. No one expects the all-in, but let's see what happens with the trade.
Yeah, so Ole uses his Pulverize there and the E as well, so they know that those are not going to be down to try and protect him. Doublelift right next to that minion. Hylissang was able to get up in his face, land the stun with the ignite, taking the kill.
Yeah, so 2 things, as you highlighted there. Combo being used by Alistar, he's not going to add any value then, and also Doublelift just holding on to his jump for quite a while. He even saw the Braum jump to him and could have instantly tried to disengage away, but then suddenly he starts getting stacked there with the passive, and the stun comes in, and Fnatic's bot lane get the first bot. They had to use every single summoner though, so I need to see if Xmithie can actually go down and try and do something.
They used every single summoner, but Team Liquid also using 3 out of 4 of their own, so a slight disadvantage there. Should still be worth it to get themselves the first blood. 39 to 44 CS, so pretty close farm there as well. Up in the top side, Impact still maintains a lead for himself, but Broxah wants to come in and help Quippo out a bit here. Decimating Smash not going to find a lot of success. Impact forced to flash away after a well-placed pillar from Broxah.
Again, if we revisit the bottom side play though, you know, the way that this game opening with the 2v2 kill there for Fnatic, you have to keep in mind the circumstances of this tournament and them swapping out support and what has really gone into kind of the mental state of this Team Liquid bottom lane. That's definitely not going to help things.
Oh no. Worst kind of start here.
Especially for a guy like Doublelift.
Tough start for Team Liquid's bottom lane. Meanwhile, in mid, it's just even farm between Caps and Pole Builder. Of course, when you play the Yasuo specifically, you just want to rush towards your PD and your IH so fast. And once you complete those 2 items, that's where we really start seeing Yasuo players just take over the game. We saw Caps play this yesterday. Great success. Bunch of solo kills against Yahoo and RNG. Pobel, of course, tried the same, and it is fun because these teams have been scrimming each other coming into the tournament. Very clearly, Yasuo has been a big deal in these scrims, which is why Pobel tried it.
Try is the key word here because he did not find much success at all on the champion. Constantly found himself picked off. Wasn't able to get the item spikes he needed quickly enough.
Oh, look at mid lane. Impact is here.
Impact wants to find his way onto Caps. Good sidestep there from the Fnatic mid laner, making sure he stays away from that CC. Not even forced to blow a summoner spell here.
Yeah, 3-person visit there, ending up being in the end. No Predator was available for Smithy though, so he kind of only got to go as a viewer. He has also picked up a Relic Shield, by the way. This is something that we had started to see.
But I want to see this bot lane fight. Come on, Smithy, get down there.
Ole flashing forward, able to find the headbutt into the pulverize. Reckless looking to get out of this one. Remember, summoner spells not available, could be punished. Ole grabbing the kill onto Reckless, as now Hylissang will not be able to escape either. One more auto attack seals the deal, and Double It puts the money in his pocket.
This is exactly what we talked about just a minute ago. All the summoners used from Fnatic to get the first blood. It sets up suddenly an easy answer for Team Liquid as long as Smithy moves down there. And he walked down the river. You see the engage from an Alistar. You can't spell shield it because the spell shield blocks the W when Alistar comes in, and then you just get knocked up right after.
And not only him, but look at the minimap. Whippo ends up walking down here too, and he has no teleport, so that's going to be a bigger lead for Cho'Gath. But here's the engage. They all in on Reckless, absolutely just crush him down on the Sivir. As you said, there's no escapes for him because they used their summoners offensively previously.
And now it just ends up hurting Fnatic that they went so aggressive for the kill. They should have stayed away from that river here, just trying to play it as passive as possible. But Team Liquid, huge play on their side.
And there is going to be a big difference in these tanks. Not all tanks are created equal.
No, sir.
Impact has a very big CS lead on this Cho'Gath and is going to bring that true damage feast to not only the team fights, but even the banner minion wars.
Another thing also with the AD carry items. Before it was pickaxe versus tier 2 boots from Reckless. Looked like he was just going to farm up for a BF sword on his side, go back and get it. But because he just died, his bag is double longsword and another dagger. And double if it's the one who gets even more attack damage on his side. So more things going in favor of Team Liquid. They can look for another play because we've just seen that the Sivir can't really stop the Alistar engage.
And they can handle that 2v2 a bit better this time than last time up against Reckless and Hylissang, who are still maintaining pretty close in terms of the farm, but Double It maintains the small lead that he had earlier as well.
They've got the lane push. They're also clearing out all of the vision around bottom lane for Team Liquid here. Hex Flash has been taken by Olave on the Alistar, so when they get brush priority, it means a tremendous amount here for Fnatic. If they don't see Smithy on the map, they have to completely respect any Team Liquid bottom side play, as those have been very, very effective as far as the last visit from Smithy with his Predator and Flash both being up.
And it's a very tough spot now for Fnatic because mid lane is getting pushed in by Pobelder. Smithy is constantly walking around in jungle on the bottom side. And Fnatic don't really have a winning lane anywhere. The top lane is the Cho'Gath controlling it. The bot lane is, of course, the Tristana and the Alistar. So at the moment, Fnatic are just kind of waiting and hoping they can farm up someone like Caps because they can't really force any aggressive plays, at least not safely.
And even if they're waiting on Caps to farm up, he's doing a good job so far. He's got the CS lead over Pobelter's Azir. You talked about how he really wants that 2-item spike as quickly as possible to start making those plays and be that split push threat that they could need.
Yeah, and he might just be the big win condition for them again. So if they are ganking a lane, it could be mid with the Trundle Pillar. They are looking bottom side. They finally regain some control after it's Caps' turn to push in the lane. And that's kind of the thing. The mid lanes just keep trading who gets to push. And that's the team who gets control.
Since Fnatic just got the push, they're the ones who also could start up this dragon. They jump right on it, and they're actually taking it down fairly quickly, especially with some control wards in the river. There's no sight from Team Liquid.
Smithy wants to walk up, but he can barely throw an axe into the mix as Pobelter goes over the wall just as Whippo would have arrived. Gets himself out of that danger, but it is one Drake going over to the side of Fnatic.
Nice play here from Fnatic. After Caps gets to push in, just like yesterday against RNG, the Trundle and the Yasuo together. They're the two members who can be aggressive and try and get some advantage over on Fnatic's side.
Yeah, it's such a powerful duo. You can take on almost all opponents. Because of the synergy between the Trundle Pillar and the ultimate, you have a long engage range. plus Trundle ultimate shredding down anyone. And, oh, never mind.
Oh, Pobelter going in on this one. Wants to throw Caps back with the Shurima shuffle. Xmithie and Ole wanting to come in here as well. You're unstoppable comes out for Xmithie, but Caps saves the flash to get himself away.
Always love the mind games on when do you flash here as Caps, because you see Ole comes in and he also wants to wait with his combo because he knows if Caps uses flash early, then he can easily combo him. He's stuck, he will die. But both members saving it for as long as possible, and then Caps gets to flash away.
Also good use of the minions there. Some smooth ease from Caps to get himself out of the initial progress there that Team Liquid had made in the middle of the lane and buy some time for himself to be able to escape.
Good roam though, and nice gank from Xmithie. Forcing that flash. You can now see on the minimap it's Team Liquid getting control back on the bottom side. Again, they keep just trading between the teams. That could open up for a play around the mid lane against the no-flash Yasuo if they can move the Alistar in there again.
Ole thinking about moving through the enemy jungle to set down some vision, but realizes there's quite a few people off the map right now. Doesn't want to take the risk of going any further than he was. Throws the ward down along the backside of the Drake pit as Xmithie and Pobelter will move up, put some wards down up near those rafters as well as they look to steal them away. Broxa comes in, does have the smite available, but won't find success there. Xmithie and Pobelter get out.
Yeah, full focus on vision of the bottom half of the map for Team Liquid. Doublelift and Ole continually clearing out the wards on bottom side. Xmithie invading, but another roam from Whipple mid.
They find the knock-up onto Xmithie, who does not have the ultimate to get himself away. Xmithie barely alive, still trying to walk out of that one, but Cat says no! Cuts him down.
So with all the wards on bottom side, it actually allows the Cyan to walk down from his own lane. Ulti's still on cooldown, so he just walks to mid. And suddenly, Fnatic can actually make a play. And small plays like this is suddenly how you can turn the favor towards you.
Yeah, and even though Whippo definitely heavily down in CS, Impact not really communicating with the rest of the team, not having the presence there from the top side, and Whippo making a big difference. Now, though, he's roaming down.
Impact could potentially do a lot of damage here to Caps, but also has to walk out. Gonna be jugging around and beaten down. Whippo grabs himself the kill. As Pobelter is now CC'd, and he'll face the same fate. Shurima shuffle gets him away for just a moment. Ole here on Peel, duty to keep his mid laner alive, but it's nothing but success right now for Fnatic.
Yeah, Impact is getting a big, CS lead 1 versus 1. However, as far as the map play is concerned, Whippo definitely the one with the big advantage.
Yeah, I think Impact most likely expected Whippo to go back to base and not actually walk all the way down to mid lane without ulti ready. But then after, TL, with only 2 players alive on that side, the Azir and the Cho'Gath, still decides to walk in and try and fight the 3 Fnatic players. Greedy call, and he got punished, and now Xmithie.
Xmithie again, maybe in some trouble here. Has the Ragnarok available, uses it to block the knockup, doesn't want to be caught up in the Yasuo ultimate. Throws out another axe on his way out, but his low HP means he doesn't want any more of this fight.
We started a little roam, too, as well. Ole is headed behind the turret, possibly, to take down Caps. Doublelift heading back to the minion wave on bottom.
This is what we wanted to see against the no-flash Yasuo. Caps seems to realize that support is missing.
Pobelter very far forward as well. Caps likely detecting that this is something a little bit funny. Let's take another look at the play that happened here in the river.
Yeah, this was Impact here, coming to try and stop this Rift Herald, but getting himself into a very bad situation.
Yeah, I'm not sure if the call is, hey, Ole is on his way to stall him a little bit and take the fight, but there you gotta respect that 3 members are still alive on Fnatic's side. And you see some numbers from Caps.
Ooh.
Currently one of the best performing members here at MSI.
Damn fine numbers from Caps. First in everything except damage percentage, and even then, he's sitting at a cozy 2nd place. He's been having a great performance so far. Even though his team is only 1 and 2, remember that one victory was against Kingzone. The 2 losses on the first day, they seem to have moved past some of the issues they had there and are looking pretty strong here on day number 2. They do have about a 600 gold lead at the time being.
And the kill participation there being the highest, 92%, that's a really interesting thing, a big deal for Caps, because it really shows how he's been the main carry. He's been the one who's been involved in absolutely everything they do. It's not gank bot lane 24/7, it's go around mid. Make plays around mid. The Cyan pick from Whippo is something he's done before when he gets to play it. It's been so effective. Also trying to set Caps further ahead, and it's just showing if Fnatic are moving towards him as the main carry.
Wilson will take some damage from Doublelift here as he and Reckless pass through the area. Broxa hanging around the bottom part of the map, going to find Xmithie there in the river, drops down the pillar. It'll be a brief 1v1 between these two, but with Caps making his way down as well.
Interesting.
He doesn't want to stick around from this one. Reckless will blow the ultimate there. He's completely out of mana, so no more follow-up. Everybody walks away.
State of the game is very interesting right now because there are 2 points that want to be contested. A very heavily damaged turret up topside from Team Liquid, or on Team Liquid's side. Fnatic could try and grab some first turret bonus, but a dragon spawn right now and another Cloud Drake would give so much move speed for Fnatic later in this game.
And earlier we talked about how both mid laners were kind of trading. You're pushing now, so you get control. Now it's my turn to push it back, and I get control. At the moment, because Caps has gotten his PD, he's getting a bunch of AD on his side as well. He's picked up a kill. Like, he is now fully controlling that mid lane. Pobelter is having to sit pretty far back and just catching the wave, and that's really giving Fnatic control of the bottom side for a lot longer than we saw earlier in the game.
Team Liquid does not want to give this Drake away for free. Broxah is taking very low, but Doublelift is caught out and beaten down, flashes and can't get himself away. It's Drake going over to the side of Fnatic. They've already found a single kill. They're looking to make it even more. Cap's going to be finding the ultimate. There in the middle is impacted. Ole will absorb some of the damage, but Team Liquid is absolutely routed. Fnatic finds 2 kills. They find the Drake. They'll look for even more. Hillsong over the wall is going to be shuffled back into the turret of Team Liquid. He'll give over a kill back, but it is still a victory here for the Europeans.
Hillsong got so hyped after this team fight because, you know, him waiting in the brush, he completely stun locks Doublelift so that there were no options for him getting out, and they get this huge advantage by taking out the AD carry without him being able to do any damage. Then it gets a little, you know, happy there at the end for the follow.
Well, we just talked about how it's Fnatic controlling mid now with Caps, so they're the ones with control in this river. That's why Doublelift, he doesn't really see what's going on when he walks into the river. He doesn't know exactly where Fnatic are, if they're already at the Drake or not. And that's why he ends up face checking and he dies. So Team Liquid gets a very poor start walking into the Dragon area itself. And they end up just completely losing the fight because, of course, the AD carry is gone instantly. And this is a very classic Hillsong play. He wants to follow with the flash. He thinks maybe there's one more kill to get. Sad for him, there's also an Azir and a Feast.
Oh, you hate to see it. Impact grabs himself that kill, gets himself a little bit more money to go along with that CS lead we were talking about earlier. Has Abyssal Mask and the Ninja Tabby, so working on becoming that big meatball that Team Liquid will need in the front line, especially now that Fnatic has themselves a 1,500 gold lead.
Well, they're going to try and pull their own brush trap here against Fnatic, but nobody going to go and face check that one for their side. Now, this brings up again, well, actually they're sending more people down. Pobelter making a roam over a ward.
Being seen like that gives it away as to exactly what they're up to here. Reckless and Hillsong going to fall back from this. They don't want to be caught out, and this means that Liquid are investing a lot of resources for no kills, but they should still grab the turret while Broxah gets himself this Rift turret.
Yeah, even though their top turret is so low, they're going to be able to get the first turret bonus gold here because Fnatic kind of split. They're doing the Rift Herald at the same time. Now, Fnatic should be able to answer and grab that top turret eventually, as well as the Rift Herald, but Team Liquid were able to jump on the bonus.
It's quite funny that Reckless used his blue trinket on the lane ward in the bot lane, so he didn't actually realize if they were still sitting in that tri-bush and how many would be there. It wasn't until they saw Pobelter walk over a ward they ran away from the turret. So it could maybe have been a bit more for Team Liquid, but obviously it's impossible for them to know exactly where Fnatic's vision would be. They get the bot lane turret, that's exactly what they came for, but as you highlighted, Kobe, they end up losing a bit more on the top side.
They lose their tier 1 turret topside, as well as giving away the red buff. Not quite as important as a turret, but having that on Caps will provide some extra out-of-combat regeneration, as well as giving him the slow and the damage tick that will accompany all the damage he's already putting out now that he's hit that 2-item spike you were talking about earlier, Deficio.
Yeah, this is bad news when it happens at 20 minutes that this Yasuo is now sitting with IH completed as well. Kill, 2 assists on his side. No one can stop him 1v1. Caps will look for more fights together with Broxah. It's the same combination. Trumpet Pillar goes up, engage happens.
Also worth pointing out, though, that there are 2 items available on Pobelter, including the Zhonya's Hourglass. Ole taking some heavy damage here early on. Going to go ahead, pop the ultimate. Wants to get himself away from this one, as they're also going to be taking a lot of damage here onto Xmithie. Ole drops Xmithie, tries to flash. Designating Smash comes through. He's stunned up, knocked down. Doublelift in some trouble. Caps looking to run him down. Xmithie still barely escaping. Caps gets the damage onto Doublelift. 3 dead for Team Liquid.
Because Caps stole the red buff from Team Liquid earlier, he is able to finally get that kill with the Ignite damage as well, and this is going to be a 21-minute Baron from Fnatic.
Baron at 21 minutes into the game is not what Liquid needed to happen if they wanted to find the win here, but Fnatic is just doing exactly what they want to do, fight after fight. They are winning this time around. They are taking control over the entire game. 3,000 gold up now. Rift Herald in position mid lane. Everybody's getting themselves back to shop. And it's just success after success here for this team. I can't stop saying it enough. This looks so different from day one.
Definitely true for Fnatic here. Team Liquid, they're the ones trying to, again, force some fights like this replay.
Acer replay coming in right now to show you exactly how they got it done.
Because right now, there's no TP in the bottom lane, and Fnatic, they have Whippo topside already. Obviously, he was out of vision when the fight started, but Team Liquid wanted to secure a turret. It's a walking in behind and get basically surprised that so many Fnatic players are already top lane, and Whippo is not sitting bot. Caps, of course, comes in, and that little red buff.
Yeah, I feel like Team Liquid have done a very poor job of keeping track of Whippo. They have, as you said, no way for Impact to join this, yet they force a fight behind the turret of Fnatic, force a fight on the opposite side of the map, and Whippo is up there, so Fnatic pushing through with all 5 members. We're able to get a huge advantage there, and now they've got Baron buff to push with.
Team Liquid, 3,000 gold down, 5 kills behind. They've got the turret advantage, but they're also down 2 Cloud Drakes. Makes it that much harder to keep up on rotations. And they have to deal with all these Baron buffs. Impact will move down to try to clear out some of the minions, but they're not that easy to clear anymore. Not with Whippo standing right next to him, and Caps will provide another threat all the way across the map.
Yeah, you have this Fed Yasuo level 15 top lane with the Baron buff as well. Broxah is around in case a fight happens. Probello realizing, okay, he can't go for it. There's no information on the enemy jungler. And right now, Team Liquid are pushed very far back on the map.
Some Hillsong mid lane, trying to apply some pressure here onto the tier 2. They will expend the Braum ultimate there, but it buys them enough time for Broxah and Cap to grab the tier 2 in the top lane as well. This is what you want to see from Fnatic. They get the Baron, they apply the pressure, but now, can they get these guys out? Xmithie wants to go in, pops the Ragnarok, puts some damage down, but it's him who's going to be taken incredibly low. Shurima Shuffle able to find both. Caps grabs the kill onto Xmithie as he dies. A 1-for-1 for Fnatic from so much investment.
Yeah, not only 1-for-1, but they're also pushing the rest of the map, and they're about to destroy Team Liquid's base, both bottom and mid, under fire.
Even Liquid's victories feel hollow here as Reckless may be caught out. Will be knocked up into the air, has to flash away, gets himself out on the hunt, also used. Bottom lane turret will go down with one more shot from the bannered up Baron minion, and that means the base is now vulnerable.
And even in that 2v4, a kill for Caps, I think he actually managed to dodge the all-in with his own ulti being used to buy just slightly more time before all the CC, of course, connected onto him. You can't really stay alive for long if you are in that situation as a Yasuo, but them getting all the turrets is everything they wanted. And this Infernal Drake, I don't think Fnatic are too sad to see it go over to Team Liquid.
It's a small light shining in the darkness for Team Liquid, but it's kind of just like a flashlight on half battery. It'll maybe help out a little bit later, but right now things are looking more like this.
So that's a 2v4 on top lane here. Caps blocks the first axe, gets a bit of damage down, and here the all-in comes in from the other side. He jumps up at the same time, but obviously doesn't really matter in the end, except for the kill onto Xmithie.
Yeah, I feel like Xmithie almost trying to hide in the nameplates of all the other champions. Hoping he doesn't Q at him.
He couldn't quite pull it off, though. This Olaf, remember, when you use Ragnarok, you lose the bonus resistances of the passive from the ability, and he doesn't exactly have a lot of resistances anyway. Yeah, you've got Ninja Tabby, you've got Zeke's Convergence, but you're still going to get cut down by this fed of a Yasuo.
Sure, and I mean, the problem is also, Team Liquid, they take the early Tristana, they want to take it away from Reckless, they want to get a big carry on double before the late game. Like, he's just completed the third item now, and we've had so many fights already, but it's not between the 80 carries, it's all around the Yasuo specifically for Fnatic. And then it's Team Liquid who's tried to force some team fights on the side that's been answered by Whippo and the rest of Fnatic. And then suddenly it's Caps getting the kills, he's now split pushing, and he's just dealing so much more damage than the Azir on the other side, so it doesn't even matter that the two AD carries are trying to scale into late game. Caps, he wants to finish it before we get there.
Fnatic are trying to push here into this mid lane inhibitor turret. They know it's incredibly low. They want to try to put that one in the dirt while they still have the opportunity to. Bottom lane inhibitor is exposed, remember. The minion wave took care of the last couple bits of health on that as Fnatic made the retreat last time. We'll see how they want to approach sieging this base. 26 minutes in, 8,000 gold ahead of Team Liquid. Just inches to go on this remaining inhibitor turret middle. Ole tries to utilize the Hex Flash there, doesn't really find much of anything.
But did they actually just try and be a little threat in case Reckless wanted to step forward and give the turret one hit. It could have been a potential play.
Right.
But obviously Fnatic are not going to do that. Whippo starts to recall though.
Whippo knocked up into the air, but remember, that's a very tanky Scion. Ole walks himself out. Nothing really expended by either side there. Whippo's health bar, you can see it doesn't even have any dents in it any longer thanks to the Warmog's armor that he picked up. Means he'll regenerate anything that doesn't kill him. And Fnatic will back off for now. They know Baron's going to be coming up in just under 2 minutes here. They've got time. They own the map. They can take control over this area. They can set up the vision. They can ensure that once this spawns, they can use their lead and immediately grab it.
Yeah, Team Liquid have been trapped inside their own base for so long there. They're just now trying to venture out and get some defensive vision down through their own jungle to allow them a path even to go contest the Baron.
And the one positive for Team Liquid is the fact that Doublelift, he has been able to farm. He's gotten 3 items on Tristana. He is the main carry on this team. And if there's a way for them to stall beyond the next Baron, not just lose the next team fight and then the entire game, there is more time for him to get further into the late game. And that really is the only win condition for Team Liquid right now. So it's all the focus on Doublelift.
I also want to point out that Caps has an hourglass, well, not an hourglass, a stopwatch in his inventory, looking to build towards the Guardian Angel next, most likely. But that could be a big difference in the next team fight if he's able to go in with the last breath. But he won't even need to if they can find impact like this. A very questionable flash that'll lead him nowhere but back to the spawn platform anyway. 1 kill over to Fnatic means it's time to push.
Yeah, and they did see them push in the bottom lane, and the entire goal for Team Liquid was just to try and stall. You don't need your top laner walking forward and getting caught out then.
You won't stall anything like this. 2 inhibitors at once under siege as the crowd erupts with chance for Fnatic. They'll take over the base of Team Liquid, get themselves out. Baron will spawn in just a moment, and they might as well grab it on the side.
What a resurgence here in day 2 for Fnatic. They take down King Zone, having such a strong game here against Team Liquid. Feels like they have it in hand. All that's left here is a little bit of Baron dance, and Caps actually is on a ward there, though.
They know what Caps is up to. They know that he's running interference, and as soon as they see him go over the wall, they've got to know that this is Fnatic's plan. Onto the Baron they go. Tornado comes back over the wall. TP going to be used. Team Liquid wants to fight for this. They know that if they don't, the game will be over for sure. Ole on the front line, utilizing the Alistar ultimate, getting himself back now, though. Caps staying on the Baron, keeping it low. Team Liquid still trying to stop this when they will get Fnatic to retreat.
It's what a Team Liquid needs. Just delay the game a little bit. Might still get a fight. No, the rest of Fnatic are stepping away. They didn't want to risk X-Smithy flashing in and potentially stealing the Baron.
Remember, Caps also has that Bloodthirster, so even though it's not a Warmogs, he can walk up to a wave, and it might as well be. A couple of Steel Tempests will put him right back at full HP, and Fnatic doesn't look too shy about still finding a fight here.
Yeah, they know time is in their favor. If they just keep Team Liquid around, the minions are going to destroy the base. And Team Liquid, all 5 now out on the map.
Liquid's got to make a choice. Ole goes in, finds the Pulverize onto 2. Damage coming in. It's Hillsong that's the target right now, but that's not the guy you need. Unstoppable X-Smithy going to be stopped now by Reckless's damage. Pobelter also down. A double kill for the Fnatic AD carry as Impact stands alone behind enemy lines. Ole tries to hobble away from this one, but the pillar will provide the quadra kill for Reckless. Doublelift tries to jump away, but the winners might come down.
He's on his
Caps want
way.
to take him out. They want to give this to Reckless. They want the pentakill, but Caps takes it away.
The Team Liquid, they knew that to try and force a fight here or the game would just end. But Fnatic, they were ready for it, and of course they destroyed him.
They're 2-0 on the day. They looked impressive in both wins, and you've got to be happy about this one for Fnatic.
Seemed like Caps is like, oh, maybe he'll crit me again. I gotta finish him off now.
Sorry,
buddy.
guys.
Sorry.
Maybe the timer as well. He's like, listen, it's not going to be a real penta anyway. I can just grab this one.
Guys, come on. We need to win the game. Don't worry about these side objectives. I'll just get this guy here. Still, if your biggest problem in the game was Reckless only got a quadra kill, you're feeling pretty good as Fnatic.
And it fits that it's Caps getting the last kill off the game, because this Yasuo pick, blind pick by him in the draft, there is no real answer from Team Liquid side to try and shut it down. And while in the early game we saw trades back and forth, the moment he got that first kill and he went back and got a few items, he just took over the game. And it's so tough to deal with this champion if it's played really, really well. And let's be honest here, like Caps, together with Maple, they're the 2 best performing players at this tournament right now.
Yeah, definitely a lot of credit to him. I think as well, Whippo, this guy is the substitute for Fnatic, came in, and even though, there was a CS deficit early on because of some
and no flash.
Early shenanigans, exactly, no flash as well, he made a lot of very important map movements for the team.
Both of the solo laners succeeding wildly in their lanes, and not just in those lanes, but out of them as well. I want to go back to what you guys talked about with, Impact's got the lead. Impact has lane control. He should be in a great spot in this 1 versus 1, but Fupo says, okay, I don't care about 1v1. I'm going to go help the team. And so many of those early decisive fights, Whippo was there, Impact was not. And it just showed how you can enable yourself, even if you're not in that great spot in the 1v1.
Very true, and it's so tough for Team Liquid. 0-4. Now, you already had the thing where earlier your support stepped out, he comes back in. Yes, Team Liquid, 4. Might get ruined tomorrow, who knows?
Maybe. We can hope that that number stays as a 4 for a long, long time. But you never know. Team Liquid does look like a team that is struggling with a lot of things right now, and they've got quite a few things that they need to approach and fix.
Yeah, I mean, whenever you have someone electing not to play in one of the games, there's a lot more things that we start to think about, and there's got to be more underlying issues. So maybe we'll find out, maybe we'll never will, but it's definitely a rough tournament for them so far. Everybody else, though, still has eyes on the future.
Definitely true. There's a party, and right now, Team Liquid, they're not invited.
But Fnatic is. Fnatic started the same way Team Liquid did on day number 1. 0-2 for both of the Western teams, but Fnatic bounces back today. They take down the team that everybody was saying was the super team, the favorite to win the entire thing. They prove that they're mortals, and then at the same time, they win the rivalry match, and they're looking very strong heading into day 3.
Oh yeah, I mean, every discussion on social media and Reddit yesterday was about how terrible Europe is because Fnatic could dominate there, and now they went 0-2. So they took down Kingston and Team Liquid, so I'm very interested to see what the conversations look like now that Fnatic actually showing up.
Let's see where the flip-floppers end up, but for now, for more on Fnatic's win, let's head over to Shox, who's ready with the 80 carry.
Thank you very much, guys. Joined here by Reckless after Fnatic goes 2-0 on the day. Now, I can only imagine after what happened yesterday, this must be a huge relief. How do you feel at the end of the 2 games? Oh, that is your mic, indeed.
So, yesterday I was really disappointed, obviously, because I felt like at an international tournament especially, you really want to make your fans proud. And I think that's like the last thing we did yesterday. So I really wanted today to show that we can actually compete with these teams and be a strong region as well, and not only have like one European team that can contest, but also show that the whole region can be a good region. So I'm really happy with today's performance because I think we show that the stuff we do in Europe, like the kind of macro we have or the kind of champion style we have, is just fine for winning against the better regions as well, which is going to give the other teams we have here a big boost too.
You say the champions you like to play in Europe. Caps did pull out the Yasuo now twice, and I want to talk a bit about that teammate because a lot has been about you this split in EU. You've had a great split, but we've always also talked about Caps. What is it like for you now to see him also step up on the international stage, and what can you just say about him at MSI so far?
So I think so far it's looking like Caps is the best mid laner we have at this tournament. So obviously that's really good for me because it's in my team. So it relieves a lot of pressure from me. Because as you said yourself, I'm very used to having most of the responsibility in terms of carrying, but I feel like at this tournament I haven't really had to carry a single game so far, which is really, really nice because I know then when it really comes down to it, I can actually step up and be there for him. But so far he's just been outstanding, so I think we're gonna have a really good time moving forward too.
Yeah, we are looking forward. I do want to just talk about this last game. You've been playing for so long, and this game was very important for the standings specifically. Do you feel any added pressure still because it's NA versus EU, or how do you live that?
Not really. I felt more pressure playing against China and Korea because of how much stance they have as a region. Like, it's very important for us to show that we can keep up with those kind of regions, but I feel like we've already beaten NA in the past and they've already beaten us, so it's not really that hype anymore. And for me, it was much more about playing against Doublelift, but I think I did a pretty good job in the situation, so I was really happy with the outcome.
And in general, I can only imagine for you this morning, beating Praying Gorilla, was that a very special moment for you personally?
Well, I died in lane against Praying Gorilla, so I was
true.
a bit disappointed, but I still felt like I did my job after that. I think that was my only mistake in that game. And then in this game, I had another mistake where I contested a pink in the river, and Olaf was bot side. When we had mid priorities, I was a bit confused. But I think other than that, I've been playing much better today than yesterday, and I kind of want to make up for the failures I showed yesterday as well, because I know how bad it looked from the outside, and I felt really bad playing that way too. So moving forward, I want to show that I can be the consistent guy that I'm famous of being, basically.
Well, looking forward then, you touched on it. This is great, but you're still 2-2, and as said, there are a lot of very, very good teams in this tournament. What will be the key to keeping this going, this Fnatic that just looks to be playing your own game, finally?
So I think basically what you just said is the key to victory for us, because yesterday we tried a lot of new stuff, since there's been a lot of patches since our playoffs, so we tried to adapt, but I think actually maybe that was a mistake. And doing what we did so good in spring was maybe the better approach, as you could see today. We played much more comfortable champions, much more comfortable style of play, so I think it was a lot easier for us today to execute and have a good game. Meanwhile, yesterday it was chaos, and we didn't really know what to do, so I think moving forward we're just going to stick to what we know best, and if that's not enough, then we're going to have to maybe work on our fundamentals for the summer split, but I think if we can beat the Koreans, for example, like today, with the style that we practice for the spring split, we should actually have a pretty good chance of winning the whole thing. So.
Okay, fantastic. It looks great today. I hope you guys can keep it going for all the European fans that are watching. Thank you very much, Reckless.
Thank you so much.
Back over to you guys.
Thank you very much, Shocks. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to MSI tonight. I'm your host, Dash, joined by Frosker and Papa Smithy. And chat, a lot of happy EU fans today as they move to 2-0. Once again, defeating NA here, pushing them to 0-4, making their tournament hopes very much dwindle here in the middle of the group stage.
We should pay attention to Fnatic's success.
What?
Yes, we can.
Reframe it.
A big 2-0 day, taking down Kingzone and then putting the stamp on it here in the 6th game of the day. Let's first take a look at how they did it, looking at picks and bans here. We had the Sivir coming through for Reckless. He mentioned himself there in the interview, returning a little bit to what they had found as their style in Spring Split and feeling like they're proving that if they execute on that style well, they can be a contender in this tournament.
Yeah, and also calling Caps the best mid laner at the tournament. I think him and Maple right now are kind of having that showdown, and it'll be a fun rematch to watch later on in this group stage. I do feel like Caps has been the standout player for this team, and I love how they actually went back to the Yasuo.
Yes.
Even though they'd lost with it, they'd seen Pobelter lose with it. That's one of those picks that you're maybe going to say they shouldn't have played had they lost this game, but when he did play it again, he is so clean on that pick.
And I think we have to add the wrinkles in here, because think about where the Yasuo has come out earlier today that we criticized, right? We can't just say, we criticize one Yasuo, we embrace the other one. Remember that it's become increasingly clear that Fnatic and TL's scrims before this tournament started influence their opinions of the meta. So when you do come back to actually playing this team that you had so much time preparing against, this is where this pick came up strong, and you could see it definitely had ramifications here, where the Azir was almost anonymous, and the Yasuo, it was just ascending further and further up.
And for me, the biggest difference between TL and Fnatic, even at the best version of TL, if you think back to their domestic split, is the ability to play side lanes. And that doesn't necessarily just mean the ability to 1-4 or to 1-3-1. It's simply the ability to manage your waves, to make sure that they that when you do get something, you're able to capitalize on it and to get more. Whereas Pobelter, I think it's a major weakness for him, as well as impact. I think it's particularly the solo laners. I know Wifu had a pretty sketch, day number 1, Reckless wasn't showing up, but for day number 2, he was very strong, and Caps has just been on fire.
Yeah, I think that's something we definitely have to recognize. While we talk up Caps, and Reckless stepped up as well a bit today, Whippo, same thing, right? When it comes to the hand he lent to the team fighting and in the macro play here on that Scion, while maybe losing in CS a bit to Impact, definitely having more influence over the team fights.
Yeah, didn't look like a rookie today.
No.
Yep.
Definitely looked like a rookie yesterday, and he's going to need to continue to have testy performances, right? We're now 40% of the way through the group stage. They have 2 wins. Typically speaking, 4 wins will probably get you into the knockout stage. So they've got plenty of tries left, and this is a really good day for them.
Right, sitting at 2-2, they're sitting pretty when looking at least snagging 4 to get out of the group stage. That means Fnatic are tied with RNG in 3rd place, looking to catch up with Kingzone over the next few games. Team Liquid, however, are off to a rough start as they are still fighting to get their first win. On top of that, we've got Flash Wolves at the top of the table, currently undefeated in MSI 2018.
Oh my goodness, you can't really say enough about the way they have played. Losing Karsa, so many people were underhyped about Flash Wolves coming into this, and I think there was reason to be underhyped for them, especially when you looked at the LMS. Yes, we mentioned they had more Korean imports, and a lot of the other traditionally strong LMS teams like J-Team and AHQ had kind of fallen down, and you're thinking, what's happening to this region? You know, Clement, a lot of people's major contact to the region is actually casting the LPL now, so you didn't even have that. There was so little, such small amounts of information coming out of that region. But add that to the fact that they were 0-5 at the start of the group stage at Worlds. There were so many things that are surprising about Flash Wolves winning here, and I think it's okay to be surprised and say that they're performing extremely well on the days, and they're looking good.
You go ahead first.
No, you really? Oh, that's so nice.
Look at my analyst getting along.
Oh, Papa. No, it's especially surprising to me the way that they do it. I knew that Flash Wolves like to be an objective team. They like to play poke champions, kind of pick people off of the objectives. But to see some of that macro be so clean, especially on day number 2. Huge complaint I had, day number 1, I thought their Baron setups were really iffy, very 50-50, not getting the vision behind the pit. Today, especially against RNG, it was a beautiful Baron setup from Flash Wolves, and they should feel very proud with the adjustments or the small tunes they've made between day 1 and day 2.
Just they've had their fingers on their own pulse. They've known what they've wanted to do, and they've committed to it, and it hasn't been one pick you could ban out. We thought maybe it was the Varus, because Betty had been defaulting to that in the regular season, defaulting to it on the first day. Ezreal comes in, they can plug and play that. They've been able to play so many different strategies, and they have no passengers. And I've mentioned this a couple of times, but MMD, Betty, and L in the past, these guys have been significant problems to them playing multiple different styles. Hanabi now in the top lane, very dependable. And Betty, when he's been called upon again and again, even against Uzi in that final game, our queries are getting slapped away again and again because he keeps performing.
Yeah, with Flash Wolves sitting at 4-0, how does this change our perception of RNG and Kingzone? Obviously, Flash Wolves has not played Kingzone just yet, but these were the two teams that were pitted to be at the top of the table, and they're looking shakier than maybe some would have expected.
In my opinion, I think RNG have a bad read on the meta right now. And it makes sense normally when you have big patch changes. We played our finals on 8.6. It has been 2 patches since then. We were the last region to complete our finals, so it's been, you know, about 2 weeks worth of preparation time, which should be a lot. Delayed start into it. I don't want to give them too many excuses because they should have enough tape by now to correct these mistakes, and I feel like we haven't quite righted the ship. We're still sinking and not realizing what our strengths are. Uzi is a phenomenal Ezreal player. Just take the Ezreal. Stop prioritizing MLXG's champion pool, especially for the inconsistent performance that he's giving you.
Yeah, I think, and this has to do with tourney format.
Yeah.
I am not worried about RNG as long as Kingzone can beat Flash Wolves. Because if you look at the standings right now, number 1 seed gets to pick their opponent for semifinals. So if Flash Wolves picked Fnatic and then Kingzone played RNG, then RNG worries. But I think RNG right now is just learning about the game in the group stage, making sure they finish top 4, and then take their chances from there. Because RNG actually knows all about how little group stage can matter in the grand scheme of things. They were actually first place in the group stage in 2016 and then had to play Korea in the semifinals again. So it really is just about getting enough wins to finish 4th and learning. And I think that's kind of how RNG played the whole regular split. Uzi didn't play until the Lunar New Year, and then they were a low seed in the playoffs, and then they still were able to win in the clutch when it really mattered. So I'm actually not worried for Kingzone or RNG, even if Flash Wolves has jumped out to a big start.
Let's also remember that while Flash Wolves largely counted out, EVOS as well largely counted out when moving into this group stage. They did go 1-1 yesterday, had an unfortunate 0-2 today. How do we feel about their performance, though? Because, for example, they played Kingzone extraordinarily close.
They committed hard, and that was something that Kingzone were not ready for. The champion kills per minute graphic that Deficio pulled up is so central in that we do have those passive games in Korea. They were so decisive today. It still felt, and maybe I'm just guilty of watching so much Kingzone, that Kingzone would pull it out because they had Khan monstering on Alawi, and yet there were multiple times, multiple gut checks for Kingzone in that game. And that's already something that you pat them on the back and say, you did drive them to a much more difficult game compared to Peanut running wild against them and other times that the Vietnamese squads have struggled against Korean opposition.
I think it is them moving from kind of blue shell to threat, though. You know, this is, for me, I don't feel like EVOS is just kind of the last hurdle that you try to get over, and it might trip
That's
you
Team
up.
Liquid right now. They're blue shell at the moment.
They're kind of like a banana peel right now.
Or
like
that. Green shell.
Blue shell's always
Maybe it hits.
Blue shell
Yes, sir, that's a good point.
Always
We're green shell. We're just hoping it circles the map 3
peel.
times and maybe gets 1 person. I mean, let's talk about that. 0-4 start for Team Liquid. It doesn't mean they're mathematically out, but it does mean that they have a heck of a lot of work to do over the next 6 games.
Yeah, they've been pretty bad. And
What the hell's happening?
I mean, so
A lot
listen,
of things. A lot of things.
I'm
listen,
looking at him like,
I'm
what's-
surprised by Flash Wolves being where they are. I was expecting Fnatic to be better than Team Liquid and Liquid to also be worse than Kingzone and RNG. I think there were a lot of flaws during the regular season. I didn't expect them to show in this way. I feel like maybe they took a bit too extended of a break. They definitely look a little bit rusty, but also they haven't been great.
You can't make any more
They were
excuses,
12
right?
and 8. Yeah, you can't make that many excuses. I think their team compositions have been bad, but their team composition against Fnatic is what I wanted them to play.
Right.
So at that point, there are no more excuses. They just got beat by a better team.
But do you think that then, as the as like the North American representative, that was TL? Do you think that there's any? Oh, okay.
I think the game against Fnatic was TL. I think if they play EVOS again, they can beat them. I think they have a low percentage chance of beating RNG and Flash Wolves, which means they're probably going to be at 2 or 3 wins, maybe 1 win by the end of the group stage.
If right now I ask you to predict EVOS versus TL number 2, do they win it?
I think they can win it.
Because I would say no. I would say EVOS again because
if you say that, you're basically saying they're 0-10.
And that's a fair point. I don't know. Of course, things can change on the last day. Maybe things will change the standings. But my problem is the trust is gone with this team.
Yeah.
I'm not sure any 2 people trust each other. The bot lane clearly doesn't, given all their struggles today. The fact that they had 2 different supports. The drafts have been all over the place. And honestly, there's people fall behind, and then there's no one there to pick them up. No one's picking anyone up, and that means there's no victories to be picked up.
Yeah, they do not have good recovery. North American LCS regular season, you play 1 game on Saturday. You go home, play 1 game on Sunday. You go home, you get 5 more days. In the playoffs as well, they only dropped a single game and they won 9. So 2 of those sweeps they never had to actually adjust. You play a very rapid amount of games against a lot of highly prepared, highly skilled teams here at MSI. And I don't think they're ready for that with this iteration of Team Liquid.
All right, fair enough. Now, earlier in the day, I asked you guys for your predictions. I want to take a look to see how you did. Of course, Papa Smithy was slotting in for the guest today. And given that we allowed you guys to flip-flop on the last game of the day, rightfully so, you all had the same predictions. So really, the standings don't move. Guests sitting one behind the 2 other analysts.
I was the only person to not flip-flop.
That is correct. That is correct. Well, we'll give you, so what do we do, a half point?
No. 0.5.
We just
0 points.
Pat on the back.
He says that he's telling
that's
me.
within the context of the
Some
rules.
love from me.
Good job.
I know what you mean when you
And
say
Frost also said she considered Flash Wolves.
Well, let me ask you this. I mean, we obviously touched on it a little bit when working through our perceptions of the teams and how they've changed, but how do you guys feel it has been to try and predict this tournament?
Oh, almost a nightmare, going back and forth constantly. I'm kicking myself a little bit for not putting more faith in Flash Wolves. I was probably the hardest on them. Flash Wolves, you've done it. I believe in you 100%. I'm all aboard the Flash Wolves train. I've bought my ticket right now, and I think you guys are true contenders for this tournament.
Well, they play Kingzone tomorrow. How
that to me is
how expensive?
Yeah, I was going to say, are you going to pick them over Kingzone?
No, but here's what's interesting is we now have a blueprint for how to beat Kingzone.
Can
and I think
Flash Wolves execute on the same blueprint that Fnatic laid out?
Okay, there's 2 different things here. Do I think they will beat Kingzone? No, because I think Kingzone, I have faith that they will adjust. They will make the massive adjustments because they are the Korean team. This is what we see from them all the time. But that said, if any team could execute on a blueprint that has been shown, I would trust Flash Wolves most because they seem to understand exactly what the win conditions are for their composition and exactly what the win conditions are for their players. They know what their identity is. They're not trying to pretend to be anything else.
And I won't be on the desk tomorrow, but my one prediction for Kingzone versus Flash Wolves is that Kingzone were pretty asleep at the wheel for level 1 today. They were really off game 1, basically decided by the level 1 just because how they drafted, they needed tempo, they had none, they couldn't control the game, they were a step behind. This is a team who's usually very proactive at level 1. I would be worried if I was Flash Wolves because they've got something cooking for tomorrow.
All right, well, let's move away from the teams themselves and look towards some standout performers. Yesterday we talked about 4 ADCs and the influence they might have for their teams. Now I want to kind of move away from them. We're going to keep one of them around, and that's Kingzone's AD carry Prey, because he has exemplified the ability to play at the top tier level and help carry his team to victory as an AD carry.
And we've got a lot of tournament left to play, so it's a little bit early to be calling the best AD carry in the world, but I'm almost ready to wave that white flag to Prey. For me, my two competition was Uzi and Prey, and for me, I felt they were very polarizing. Uzi was all about the lane phase, and Prey was all about the team fight. You know, he's not a very resource-demanding ADC for his lane phase. Him and Gorilla don't get a lot of attention, and this tournament, that's remained true to an extent, but Prey is just so far above and beyond in these team fights, in his impact. You can feel him everywhere on the map. And so right now, Prey is the best ADC at the tournament with world-class competition of the ages.
I don't know if there's going to be any disagreement from the other analysts, so I'm going to move on to the next player on our list. We're moving outside the AD carry position now because unlike maybe the way we thought the tournament would be decided, there are many other players who are finding the ability to influence the map for their teams, Maple being one of them.
And he's one that we put, in this famous duo of Maple Karsa again and again. Obviously, that is over. And then last year, if you remember at Worlds, we were ascending Karsa and saying, Maple season, oh, Karsa, though, alone. Now it's all about Maple. He has had a very good supporting cast here, but Maple's ability to play all styles, Vladimir, super hard carry, late game mid laner, Talia in their first game, feels like a while ago now, able to roam and open up bot lane. Being able to play both styles has really been impressive on this player, and whatever task they've given him, nullification of an enemy mid laner, hard carrying team fights, he's done it with aplomb.
Another player I want to take a look at, Muujin, of all people in the jungle here.
Yep, you talk about Flash Wolves, and you heard that Karsa was gone, and a lot of people like myself wasn't expecting much out of Muujin. Not really a history of success when you look at the teams this guy has been on in the past, but here he is undefeated in Toronto versus Olaf matchups. He's finding himself up in CS, which almost no one has been able to do. His pathing has been super good. His lanes aren't falling behind when he's doing invades. He's played super clean, and when you're having them executing better Baron control like we've seen, so much of that is from the jungler, letting the team know what he needs for smite control to deal with the enemy jungler. He has been one of the best junglers so far at MSI, and most people didn't even know that he existed before this tournament that are watching this broadcast.
Oh, absolutely. The name Muujin had not been heard for the majority of the world prior to this tournament, and he has performed quite well. The fourth and final person on our list is, of course, Caps, the young gun for Fnatic. We've given him praise throughout day one and day two, but I think, where we said he performed well with some mistakes yesterday, he eliminated a fair number of those mistakes on day two.
And the thing about Caps is, I look at this player's performance, how much he's coming a star on the world scene, and I'm remembered of another Fnatic mid laner who made his name at MSI. It was all about Forbidden in 2015, his solo kills on Faker. Then everyone got super hyped about him. This is the moment where the baby Faker is no longer, we're talking about his age and his rookie status. He's taken off. I think everyone has a different moment, for sure. This is the player that has been on the most lips. He's been the most mentioned because his star performances have been amazing.
And I admit I'm over-dramatizing this moment, but when they had a chance to give the pentakill, the MSI pentakill to Reckless, and Caps just takes the kill himself, ties Reckless in the game for kills, it's a little symbolic. Like, Caps should take the kill. He is playing better than Reckless. He is contributing more to their success. So he is the carry of Fnatic so far, and that hasn't been the case. A name not Reckless has not been the case for years.
Yeah, you say it's an over-dramatization, but perhaps it's not. Even Reckless himself there in the interview at the end of the day was shocked, recognizing the fact that not once yet in this tournament has he had to carry a game. It has been Caps leading the charge for that squad.
And if I'm Reckless, my first thought is to be a bit annoyed, right? Because you missed out on the first pentakill at MSI. But your second thought is to take a step back, realize the tournament this player is happening, and give that begrudging respect and say, sure.
I did just receive word that we have video of that pentakill as well as a small comment from Reckless, so let's go ahead and roll that now.
We penta, don't kill, let him penta.
I'm fucking low, so he can kill me.
Kill him.
I'm really low.
No troll. Oh, the lock it bait.
Maybe I can.
Lock him. I'm the winner. No.
Oh.
I win all for you.
It's okay.
Be cautious, Reckless. I'm really low. It's okay. You could kill him. Again, recognizing
Then they cheesed him.
They did.
They're like, no, we'll hold it for you, bro. We can give it to you.
Yeah, step up, buddy. Step up. They just wanted him to die, really, in actuality, is what that is. But again, good on Fnatic for turning things around here in day two and making the tournament interesting for themselves and all the European fans here in the home crowd.
Yeah, and such a good thing for them to be able to do this today. Having MSI in Europe, it would have been very deflating if they'd come out of today at 0-4 or 1-3. Being able to bounce back like that, you heard Reckless even say in the post-game interview how he wants to represent the region, how he's very disappointed in game one. And also, initially he did say, just take the kill. I don't need the penta. Reckless should know at this point that another pentakill is going to be nothing in terms of his legacy. But an MSI first place finish or second place finish or titles, because Caps gets the confidence to become the best mid laner. That's what's going to make Reckless's legacy
That's a
more
show of
untouchable.
maturity there for a player. I mean, it's a minor one, but it is a show of maturity nonetheless. We'll see what these players can do tomorrow with RNG taking on Team Liquid in our first game of the day. Of course, followed by EVOS versus Fnatic. From there, Kingzone and Flash Wolves will close out the first round robin before we move on to the second half of the MSI group stage. Taking a look at tomorrow's schedule, I want to give you guys an opportunity to tease any matchups that you're really looking forward to.
Of course, for me, I'm looking at RNG's games. It's Fnatic, which the rematch again, they almost lost to Fnatic in the first game of the tournament, and then they also need to look at TL. So this is the time for RNG to really cement themselves. China is still number 2. You still gotta go through us before you even get a shot at Korea again, and if they fall down here, then some of the alarm bells start going off.
Game of the day, to me, is Kingzone versus Flash.
Right in the middle of the table, that's the one. It's the two big teams. They haven't played against each other. A lot of people will have Kingzone as clear favorites, but after today, there's going to be higher percentage of people saying, let's see if the world starts burning, and Flash Wolves goes 5-0 in the first half of the round robin.
Day 2 has come to a close, so now for myself, the casters, and the entire live broadcast crew, thank you for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow for more MSI 2018. Good night.
Well, Whippo, no flash on him, of course, there's the question, but it's only on to Peanut, and Brox has gone way too far. Here comes the Corky, though, one on Khan. Peanut goes into the globules as well. BDD's going to fight off Whippo and Caps, trying to catch on towards that. Zach, able to get the double, Caps secures it. Fnatic are going to take the game, they'll kill the unkillable and take down Kingdom. Is the call of the Forge God as well from Stark on that backline, but all of RNG are just shredding through EVOS, a double. Let me's down towards that bottom side, no stand united for him. EVOS know it, they're going to try and make the fight happen, but Let Me has the flank, the damage, Rono, P dead, Slave forced out at the back of the fight as well. RNG take down the Nexus. Take down the Nexus, take the turrets, take down everything towards the towers. The last breath comes out, but Pobelter just does nothing. No damage at all, and Flash Wolves are looking for the win here. Flash Wolves going deep to the Team Liquid base. They'll secure 2 more kills. The hero's entrance from Maple, who has been a hero this entire game.
The power of the Karma following that one up. Inner Flame not quite going to find the mark, but Prey now dominating. Takes down the enemy AD carry. They will make a clean sweep out of EVOS. He can't quite do what he wants to do. Instead, get taken down. Maple grabs that kill there for himself. Xiaohu trying to get himself away, but it's Betty. Betty off the side, wanting to take this one down. Uzi moving away, can't find the damage. Flash Wolves win! As Impact stands alone behind enemy lines, Ole tries to hobble away from this one, but the pillar will provide the quadra kill for Reckless.
The Team Liquid, they knew that to try and force a fight here or the game would just end. But Fnatic, they were ready for it, and of course they destroyed him.
sub. Welcome to the Panda Army. Thanks for using your Twitch Prime on me. Thank you. Did I win yet? No. Alright, you guys have 12, 10, 5. Okay. Stragglers.
Now everybody needs.
E aí, o gatão tá sem flecha, a Wave tá aqui. Depois do